Welcome back. And once again, there's no time to game, especially not on a beautiful Sunday, sunny Sunday like this. Anyways, speaking of bright, cheerful things, I wanted to talk about id Software. And just like a little quick history, might as well get into the game this week. I straight up played Daikatana for the Game Boy, which is, if you know about id Software, technically not only a port, but also not made by them. It's kind of its own thing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. id Software is one of those things where I think about like the original Doom, right? Like I never thought about how much of an impact it had on my early gaming, but the original Doom was one of those things that like I never was like humongous into it. Like I don't think I've even played the second one, put it that way. But it was the one of those games that like if we had a chance, during recess at the library or during computer time, for some reason it would be totally one of our go-tos, and it was always like a lot of fun. I always compare it to something like Mario Kart DS, or even like just most of early Flash gaming. Like it was like they were good games, but really the main appeal was just like it just kind of was there, and it worked out awesome. And when you're a young kid, 11, 12, maybe even younger now that I think about it, when I first played the original Doom, like it's awesome. It's like a first-person shooter, classic, demons and blood, and the works. If you're familiar with Doom, it I even played a little bit of Chex Quest when that was like available as a buy-in. And later on in life, I really got into Sonic Roller Blast 2, which is technically not Doom, but it is an offshoot off of like someone who just really modified the original Doom engine. My familiarity with Daikatana is just like, I guess it's the guys that made Doom and Wolfenstein, which are games that I really like and play, but I don't know / wasn't around for like the huge, like I guess, hype cycle before the main like console Daikatana came out. Nothing except for I guess like the JonTron pilot or whatever. Anyways, all I know about Daikatana is that it bombed really hard. It was super hyped, fairly so, because I mean even me as a little young lad, we were like, I knew who id Software was, right? Like I didn't know maybe John Romero by name, but I know I had seen his name in like the credits or something like that, and I knew he was like a influential figure or whatever in gaming. Nothing much about Daikatana besides the fact that it was really hyped up and it bombed, and it was so bad that for whatever reason, this game, like this version of it on the Game Boy, never came out here in the States. This is a Europe-only thing. So I won't, blab too much about it. Like this is not like a history lesson or whatever. But when I saw that I got Daikatana for the Game Boy Color as my pick for this week, it was very much like a head scratcher. Like that's right. Like this is something I kind of grabbed on a whim. I was like, I didn't know they had a port for the Game Boy. It's supposed to be a really infamous game. Let's see what's up, So just where I'm coming from, basically. But at the same time, it is a handheld game from the 90s, I think, or like early 2000s or whatever. So I was like, all right, like, I can't expect too much craziness. I know that the big console experience bombed, but I'm not going to let that affect me. At the same time, though, it's kind of like how, complex, how detailed can this game really be? I kind of have had a pretty good run with Game Boy Color games lately, so my standards are pretty high. I will tell you flat out, within a week's time, I did not complete Daikatana for the Game Boy Color. And I think mostly for me is that it's not, honestly, for a Game Boy game, it's pretty solid. It's a pretty good game. But I don't know if you ever play those games where it's like, you know what, I think this was just like bad timing, like I think I actually would probably dig this game quite a bit more, but it's just right now it was just not really clicking with me for whatever reason. And I think for me, having come off a couple of puzzle games and stuff like that, like I was kind of really looking forward to something that's a little bit more like, it doesn't have to be story heavy, but just like something that was like, okay, like this is cool, like this is a game, like I playing something that I really am immersed into, like it's kind of like if you're talking Game Boy games, this is why the original Pokemon games are so effective. It's like, yeah, it's just, pixels on a screen. Like you don't really miss your digital Tamagotchi when your save data corrupts later on trying to transfer things to Pokemon Bank. Not like that happened to me or anything like that. It's not the reason I didn't play Pokemon for a hot minute. No, but for reals, like I think I was just looking for something very immersive, and this is definitely not one of those things. So even from the get go, like just the story of it, like if you're a dude, dudes will always be into games, really just things, period. Anything that involves cool, like kaijus, robots, that's another one. But anything involving like ninjas and samurais, I think usually dudes are pretty on board with. Like, just it doesn't have to be too complicated. If it's cool and it involves ninjas or samurais, we're usually pretty down. But even for me, as someone who's like, I'm so down for ninjas, ninjas are awesome. I'm so down for like 90s cheese. Like, I really like that kind of corny stuff, stories, and like, I have a soft spot for it, Like, I don't mind watching things that have like, I guess, kind of like a 90s Saturday morning cartoon flavor to it. I can brush it aside, like, and it's fine, like, I'll be into that kind of stuff. But even for me, it was very much like, okay, like, you gotta, like, your ancestors gave you a sword, and like, the sword is in, like, there's this whole time plot. So the sword is in two places at once. So you have the sword, while the main bad guy who stole the sword has their own version of the sword. It's, it almost lands, like, I feel like the execution of it, like, it's almost there, like, it's a cool concept, but didn't really hook me. And so what I was left with was like the actual game itself, like the gameplay and stuff like that. And so I would say that's pretty much the reason I didn't complete it, is just it didn't really grab me enough to like stay committed to it. I may still give it a shot to just finish it outside of the whole weekly parameters or whatever of the show, and just see if I can just beat it in general, because I think it's overall, like, there's lots of things that are really great about it. There's lots of positives to speak of. So even though it didn't click with me, graphically it was pretty like neat. I will say, like, it has a very like, if you look at the footage straight away, I'm sure I have it pasted here, it almost has like this Zelda like quality to it. And so while, like, I guess the influence of it is really, really on like on the nose, it's very much Zelda inspired. It doesn't feel like it's, straight up ripping it off. Like, it does feel like it's doing its own thing. It's like, yeah, like the puzzles aren't too complicated. The combat itself is pretty much like, if like it's very Zelda. Like, you really could just spam, I think, the attack button really fast, and you'll solve most situations for it. But there is some strategy and stuff like that involved with the different weapons, where it's like, sometimes you will need certain weapons to clear obstacles, or sometimes strategy wise, in order to, like, be able to take out threats effectively. It's like, a quick example is, you want to be able to throw your ninja stars at certain things from afar, so you don't have to deal with the damage up front. Because a lot of these things in this game, if you're not like prepared for it, like, they can kill you really fast. And it's no big deal. Thankfully, you're able to save at any time, which honestly is like, I got to give them huge props for it, because just being able to hit pause and have a save file, like, that would have been so awesome back in the day before save states. I think the dialogue is a lot of fun too. And it was pretty, like, the characters themselves are just kind of like, okay, like, they're not too complicated, but I think it works out pretty well. I think it's cool that the game will switch characters on you, so that sometimes, like, you can't use certain weapons in specific rooms because you're playing as a different character, or sometimes, like, you'll get like small little tweaks and unique abilities depending on what character you're at. So there's lots of variety, is what I'm saying. It is very much obviously inspired by Zelda, but it's not like completely generic, and it's not boring. It's definitely like cool. Like, it's serviceable. Again, if it wasn't for, like, I think what I'm currently trying to look for in this show, which is, like, I think a more interesting immersive experience for myself, even if it's like a handheld experience, I think I would have dug this a lot more. And so that's kind of what I mean by, like, yeah, like, I wasn't too into it, but there is lots of positives to speak of, and it's a great experience to take on the go for sure. Like, it's like just a solid Zelda clone on the Game Boy, I think, overall, is what I'm trying to say. But it's really strange, because, like, how do you take, like, because I've only seen clips, I've never played the console Daikatana, so it's like, how do you take that and put it onto the Game Boy? Well, they kind of basically pulled like what the Croc series did, where like Croc on the PlayStation and stuff like that is like, it's a 3D platformer, but it's like, how do you really translate that onto the Game Boy? Banjo-Kazooie kind of did it on the Game Boy Advance. and so did Spyro. I really like the Spyro GBA games. That might be a fun one to try on the show eventually. How do you translate a first-person shooter, a 3D first-person shooter, onto the Game Boy? The answer is, well, I guess you can't, but you can make a pretty cool Zelda clone. And between like the music being pretty good, graphically, it's pretty swell. Like it's really charming. Love the little like color palettes and stuff like that they use, and just the overall maps. Like it's all straightforward. And maybe that might be my main problem with it, is that I like ninja stuff. I like I like John Romero's like vibe, like he's a cool dude. Like I love like the whole Doom 90s aesthetic and stuff like that. Uh, but there's not really much, I think, for me personally, like taste wise, that really grabs me from the Game Boy Color version of Daikatana. And so the fact that we never got this in the States is, I think, a bit of a shame, because I think it probably would have done pretty decently. I mean, if I got this as a kid and this is all that I had to play, I absolutely, I think, would have like loved this game for sure. Like this would have been something that I would replay over and over again. But there wasn't really anything that was like, oh, man, I love the gameplay so much that like I need to come back to the whole time. Like, man, I love the different weapons in this game, which is something that I think, its software games are typically known for, is like the weapon variety. Like, man, these weapons are so cool. I really need to come back to this. It's kind of like, no, I mean, it's cool. Puzzles are fine. The maps are cool. The design is cool. Music's fine. The weapons are serviceable. Like the combat is fine. You could kind of low-key mash your way through everything. But I still can't say that it's like a poorly made game, nor will I say is it a waste of your time. I would say that my recommendation to you is that if you're really, really craving Zelda clones, like if you're really, really like, I don't really give a damn about story or whatever, I just really have like a hankering, like a nerd's rope hankering for just more Zelda clones on the Game Boy Color, then I think you'll be like pretty happy. You'll feel pretty at home playing this. But other than that, it's like, for me personally, like it didn't, I think, give me too many strong feelings. And so I just walked away kind of like, that was cool. I don't think I have too many more thoughts. Like it could be a cool experience to maybe give the console version of this a try as like a side thing or whatever, or or maybe even like review, like, I don't know, like maybe I'll do like a classic series where I review stuff from my childhood and, just dive into the original Doom on there, because I feel like I have a lot more thoughts about id Software's other games. This honestly was more of like I guess it's like a pleasant surprise. And I would say that is it a great game to take on the go? Yes. Like, I really cannot emphasize how awesome it is that you can just save wherever you want. Is it a great game? Like, are the vibes cool? Yeah, I think I gave my disclaimer pretty solid. Like, Zelda clone, you want that itch scratch, this will do it. So given that, if I had to slap a number rating on this, I would probably just give it like a 7. I would still recommend it if everything, like the footage and all of that I'm saying, sounds cool to you. Like, you definitely won't be disappointed, I think. It just didn't really click with me on this run, and maybe I'll revisit it someday. But otherwise, like, I think I'm pretty content with not having beat it, and I think I'm pretty content with also moving on to the next thing. I think this week, I had a viewer comment that I should give For the Frog Bell Tolls a shot, which is this is what it's called in Japanese, but I don't know how to pronounce it, which is why I'm trying to say the English name of it, which is, I think, also a Zelda type of inspired game. And someone left me a comment again saying that I should give it a shot. So I figured, that's cool. Thank you for leaving that comment. I really appreciate you. Let's give it a whirl. Instead of picking a game at random, this is where we're going to get up to this week. So, Daikatana, give it a shot if you think it looks cool. I thought it was fine. 7 out of 10 is my number rating. Let me know if you played this game or not. And if there's anything else like you really recommend I should give a shot, hopefully you've seen so far, especially if it comes for Game Boy games, that's really handy, really into puzzle stuff. I think adventure stuff is cool. It's just, we'll see. I'm a little bit picky with my adventure stuff, but definitely send your recommendations in. Other than that, I'll see you guys next week, and I appreciate you for watching. Please subscribe if you're able to. It really helps out the channel a whole bunch. And I think that's all I have to say otherwise. See you in a week's time. This is me holding the Daikatana. It exists also here at the same time in this YouTube video.